Influencing or being a content creator kind of just fell in my lap.
Okay.
Whereas I was creating so much content for my baby business, shooting, working on Instagram and doing Facebook. Before I was just doing it all by myself, with my kids, with my phone, everything's shot on my phone.
Wow.
And it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I was able to be creative. I was never a creative. I never thought, I was a creative person because I used to be a lawyer. So.
Hello, my name is Resale. Welcome to the Build Up Podcast. We are talking to inspiring entrepreneurs about their financial past, present, and future. We're talking to people who were exactly where you are right now. Today we have Ivy, and I don't even know your last name, but I call you Prim and Pimp.
I think everyone calls me Prim and Pimp because my last name is Chen. I am married, but I have a few degrees, so I refuse to take my husband's last name. And I hate when people are like, "Oh, Miss Ng." I'm like, "No, that's his mom." I'm like, "Not me. That's my husband's mom. I'm Miss Chen." So it's Ivy Chen, and I'm I call myself a professional storyteller.
Okay.
Because that's
and I've heard 8 stories before we even turned on the camera. So yes, this totally makes sense.
So that's pretty much what I do now. But
okay, so let's hear your story. So what do you do right now besides having launched this kick-ass clothing line, and you were like from the ground up in the factories overseas? Tell me how you even got started in that.
So I have a kids clothing line. It's called Bebet Fete. It came about when I first got pregnant, and then I had my first baby, and he was born with a really high level of bilirubin. So he had jaundice. So his skin he came out like an orange. But then we're Asians, right? So when you come out yellow, sorry, not to be, whatever, I can say that. So he was orange, and the doctor, and as a first-time mom, it was very difficult. I had a really bad labor, and he came out at 9.5 pounds, and within 24 hours, he was down 1 pound. And in that ratio, as a mom, if he was like 5 pounds and went down like 5.5, it's different, right? It's fine. But because he was so big and he went down in weight,
it's a dramatic loss. Yeah.
They put him under a blue light incubator to get the bilirubin and to get the jaundice out of him. And he wasn't feeding. I was convinced that I wanted to breastfeed and didn't want to give him a bottle, but he wasn't feeding. He was losing weight. So my first experience as a mom was that I was in and out of the hospital for the first 2 weeks of his life. And then after that, because of all that, he developed psoriasis. And it was really bad against his body, his face, his skin, to one point where he had psoriasis so bad on the left side of his face, like it covered his eyelid. He couldn't open up his eyes. He's a newborn. Yeah. And it was very difficult. So we did a lot of, and again, as a first-time mom, you're all like, "Oh, I'm only gonna do natural. I'm like this hippy-dippy," right? But the doctor's like, you have to go steroid cream. You have to go medication. So we would do that. He was a winter baby. We would undress him 3 times a day. We would put this cream, this ointment on him, different types of creams to get the psoriasis off of him. And back and forth and back and forth. And every time I put his clothes back on, he would scream because the fibers of clothing was wiping the psoriasis, and it was wiping off the cream. So it was irritating the psoriasis even more. So I started doing research and found out about bamboo cotton, which they used for sheets, and
which is all the rave now.
Yes, so it's antibacterial, anti-static. So it's antibacterial is great because it won't infect anything. Anti-static because it won't stick on your skin, even if you're creamed. Even though it's a man-made fiber, it's a good fiber. So I started doing research, was looking for cool. I'm a fashion person, so I wanted to dress my baby in cool fashion stuff.
If you see. I see your kids online and I'm like, this girl's a multimillionaire.
Oh,
because
please.
Your kids look like $1 million.
Oh,
8 a.m.
Sometimes. But they do get a lot of candy because I'm like, "Mommy needs a picture, so put this on." Give you a piece of candy. It's 8 in the morning. Yeah, so then I started doing a lot of research, but there were so many companies in the US and Australia that had these cool organic bamboo kids clothing, like rompers. A lot of people don't know we have a big manufacturing sector in Toronto. And I'm always about, like bringing more work into the community. So I started doing research. I decided to start this line. We started weaving our own fabrics in Scarborough. We did our own dyes in Ajax.
Oh yeah, you've got the whole organic dye.
Yes.
Yep.
And then we started manufacturing in a factory. So everything we make is done in Ontario.
Yep. Super local.
Yeah, super local. And then we started doing afterwards for the winter more like fleece, and so we got those fibers from BC, and so it's Canadian made. It's 100% Canadian made, and that was important for me.
And so you went from new mom, identifying a problem, identifying a solution to that problem, and did it become immediately lucrative? Like, how did you actually?
No. I mean, it was a passion project, right? I was in the middle of trying to find myself at the same time. I left a career. At that time, right before I had my baby, I sold my business. So I was like, what am I going to do next? I was just toying with different options.
And this happens a lot with new moms, especially that maternity leave period. It's definitely a time of reflection. A lot of women I find make a career shift. I mean, I do consult with a lot of people who actually fall into significant debt during that time because some moms are just spending all day.
Especially in the winter when it's a winter baby, and it's just like, now I understand Amazon because of COVID, but before it's like packages, like just from everywhere. And my husband was like, what is another, I'm like, I need that.
No, for sure. And so, okay, so you were in this sort of period of reflection, transition, so you started this new business, and then how did that land you into, I feel like, I know you hate the word influencer, but I feel like you're full on influencing.
I don't feel like my business, like my clothing business, so let me go back actually. So we have, because of COVID, decided to stop production because we no longer have a plant, because the plant, or the factory has closed down. Because they couldn't sustain.
And where's the factory?
In Scarborough.
Okay.
In addition to that, a lot of people in our generation and younger, manufacturing isn't a cool job. So we were losing a lot of talent. And it's hard to keep up manufacturing, but I feel like we need that, especially what's going on with COVID. Everyone's going back to making your own, right? There was a huge, sourdough bread baking thing in the beginning of COVID. I don't know if you got into that, but my neighbors did, and I'd be like, oh, bring me all the sourdough bread, it's my favorite. And they would make their own rise or whatever. I'm not a cook, so I don't know, but you get my point. So I feel like it's sad to see what COVID has done to the business. I still have so many moms come to me, email me, message me, and hey, what's going on with the business? I remember having my first kid and seeing you at a trade show and buying from you, and now I'm on my third. And we have so many return customers because they love the product, and they want to support, right? Everyone wants to support. And so with that being said, a lot of the factors of COVID kind of just trickled down on small businesses like ours, where we had to kind of stop. And going back to influencing, I was always on Instagram. I love fashion, and
You love.
I guess I'm vain.
Yeah,
I like to take
you're
pictures
a little
of myself.
vain. It's not a problem. We call it confidence.
Thank you. That's very nice.
Yeah, no, I've seen some of your photo shoots. I've even actually driven by on Cumberland in Yorkville, and I'm like, there she is on the corner doing another fantastic photo shoot live in the moment.
We were right in front of one.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. But I noticed, so you're obviously pivoting your business as so many other people are having to through COVID. And just even going back to, I guess, your roots in terms of, are you going back to what you did prior to having kids? Are you going to be pivoting into a new version of kind of reinventing yourself as an entrepreneur in the same lane? What are you thinking?
Right now, I'm very happy. I do miss being in the factories, shopping for fabric, going to traveling for trade shows. I miss that, and I miss that business. But we can't sustain it, because we have no one to make it. I cannot make hundreds of T-shirts in my basement. I'm such a slow sewer. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't.
But that you can even sew.
Yeah. So for me, it's hard. Influencing or being a content creator kind of just fell in my lap. Whereas I was creating so much content for my baby business, shooting, doing working on Instagram and doing Facebook.
And you were doing this yourself, or did you have a team doing
So
all of it?
now I have a few people that I work with, but before I was just doing it all by myself, with my kids.
With your phone?
With my phone. Everything's
wow.
shot on my phone.
Wow.
So not now, but I still shoot a lot with my phone, but I did a lot. We had, and it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I was able to be creative. I never thought, I was a creative person because I used to be a lawyer. So
You came from law?
yeah, so I came from law. So I went to law school. So, and I was gonna be this, in my dreams, this IP lawyer.
Okay.
I was gonna find someone that wanted to copyright something and then jump on that bandwagon, get some, and just kind of and do that and get into intellectual properties. But I didn't continue with that. That's just a whole different story. So I came from a very by the books kind of career, and now I'm in a space where I can do whatever I want. I can talk about whatever I want,
and that's so much more in line with your personality and your vibe. I feel like you, intellectual property lawyer, it's not you're keeping yourself in a box, and I feel like you want to be let out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and we were talking a little bit about your mom, and even the first day I met you, when I got dragged kicking and screaming to this, women's business event,
which I'm glad you went to, and you got
that's how
dragged to
we
because
met.
that's how we met. And we instantly became friends, and we became Instagram buddies. We're just on each other. And
but it's because you had this presence, and it was almost like a speed dating for women.
Yeah.
Hearing from successful women. So,
Yeah.
we had all these early 20s girls who wanted to start their own business and wanted to learn. And you came in and you were just this is what I'm about. This is what I'm doing. I'm in, Asia. I'm out on the ground in the factories. I'm looking at the fabrics. You're flying back and forth. It seemed like a very, almost luxurious lifestyle.
Which is not. Because if you look at the factories in Asia and the bathrooms in there, girl, that is not luxury. It is scary. I'm oh, thank God for this. This life is over. Other things were luxury, but that was
not that part. And then you mentioned to me that what really drew me in was you said, oh, you're in real estate. Yeah, my mom's got this condo in Yorkville, and she's going to keep it for the boys, and that's going to be their thing. And I was like, your mom is thinking about literal generational wealth for her grandkids. And you just told me a little bit more about your mom just before we started shooting.
I love my mom. She's my best friend, and I love her to death. She knows about everything. I even talked to her about my sex life. Is that weird? And then she's like, ew, stop. And I'm
totally, completely weird.
No, but that's how much I love her, right? And I still, I go to her for everything. I've learned everything from her. And I think she's an amazing woman because she came from a very rich family. Through Cultural Revolution, was taken. Everything was taken. My grandfather was thrown in jail because he didn't believe in the politics. And so it's that whole, and then as a family, they had to build themselves up and slowly. So she's always had that go-getter, businesswoman mentality. Yeah, that drive. And she's always taught me that real estate is the best way to spend your money, or invest in Chanel bags and stuff.
I feel like that, I know it's a thing. I feel like it's still a little controversial whether Chanel bags, how much of an investment they can be, but either way.
They hold their resale value so well. The resale market for Chanel bags are insane. Like you can make a whole business out of it.
Wow. I've never ever owned a name brand bag, actually.
Well, we need to go shopping one day. We do. I feel like we have to go shopping.
I don't know if I can pull myself to actually doing that at this.
Yeah,
I
and then you can give it to your daughter.
give it to my dad. I cannot start her on that habit. No, when I first got into real estate, I remember my very first deal. I saw this beautiful, and I just loved the aesthetic of it, but it was a Christian Dior. It was a gray handbag. And I remember going to Holt's on Bloor Street and looking at it and thought, okay, if I do this next deal that I was working on, I was going to treat myself. And I did the deal, I got the commission check, and I walked in, and I was like, $849? Yeah, I can't do that. And I literally walked out.
Good
so
for you.
That was as close as I got, though.
That's amazing. And this is what my mom teaches me, to stop. Just like sometimes you just need to stop. Yeah, I mean, for me, real estate has been good for us. I enjoy real estate. That's always been a side project for us. So we are currently on our third flipped home.
So you're buying, renovating, moving in, and then selling?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the way to do it, tax-free. So
6 months, yeah, right? It's 6 months. We usually go there for a year.
I feel like it's a gray area, but if it's your primary residence and that was the intention, typically, yeah, you are making tax-free money. So that's amazing.
Yeah. And my husband, when I first met him, he didn't even know how to put a TV on the wall. But on this current house that we're living in, he like put up the HVAC. Who are you?
So there's surprises that come in.
Yeah, I mean, every house we do, it's always between my husband and I, and then my mom comes in and she's like the referee.
So you need a referee? Like you guys get into fights?
Oh, we get into fights about design, about the house that we buy, about everything, about colors. You know, I don't know. I guess it's just, I don't know. Everyone has their own kind of outlook of things, and even though we're married, we might not see eye to eye and everything. He's always like, I can give you two things, like let's say tiles, like 2 pieces of tiles. He's like, for some reason you always pick the more expensive one, even though it's the most ugliest shit. Sorry.
To him.
Yeah, to him. He's like, yeah. So, but right now, it's like the real estate market's really good. But going back to what you were saying about my mom, when I was younger, my mom offered me a trip or a down payment on a condo. And then I immediately said, I want this trip. And she's so she's like, well, think about it. And she's like, and she broke it down. She's
How
like,
old were you at this time?
So I was 16. It was for my sweet 16.
Wow, a trip or a down payment on the property at 16.
But the trip was like to Florida.
Okay. Well,
And the thing is, and the down payment was for something that was like a condo, but like it was gonna like be built in like 6 years.
So pre-construction.
Yeah, pre-construction.
Far out.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it was like that. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm gonna have to take care of it and pay for it after,
like
and
work
or
to
the
you.
mortgage. She's like, by the time you turn 18, you'll be able to get a mortgage, right, on it. But I'll put the down payment on it. It was, I think, 25%, right? That's how it was back then, 25%. It still is right now, right?
20-ish, depends.
Okay.
Like, I
so
mean,
she put in 25%. So I remember, and she broke it down. She's like, well, the trip, you'll go, have a great time. Oh, and it wasn't just I'd go by myself. She would pay for one of my best friends to go together. And we would do this
so you guys
trip.
could have a girls trip.
And you would have this great time. And then you'll have a memory. But then with the property, she's like, you will have it forever. Because in Canada, it's freehold. Whereas when I was growing up and I wanted to buy a house in Asia, they don't have freehold, they have leasehold. So it's 90 years. So you buy that property, you get it for 90 years, and then the government takes it back.
What?
Yeah, that's how it is in Asia.
So you can't even build generational wealth that way because
Oh, no.
after 90 years, the government takes it back and redistributes it?
Yeah,
Or?
yeah.
Okay. And does that help keep like an even playing field for
Yeah, I
everybody?
mean, it's a communist country, so.
So-
I mean, they hide behind the whole democracy. That's
Sure.
why-
Okay.
So
okay.
I don't know if there's any other country that does leasehold, but she explained to me, and that was the first time when she explained to me about real estate and how important that was, because in a country like Canada or in the US or whatnot in North America, you can actually keep it and go and become generation and build on it and give it to your kids, and then your kids can do the same thing. So even though it was a 700 square foot condo, she's like, what are you gonna want to do? And I thought about it, and I'm like, I still want the trip.
Did you choose? You ultimately chose the trip.
Ultimately, she said to me, she was like, you failed the test. You're not getting this trip. No, she didn't give me the trip. And she's like, I'm gonna put it in the condo. She's like, and I'm gonna, you know, and it's gonna be held in a trust for you, because I was 16, so I couldn't. I was like, okay, fine. Okay. And then I remember to my best friend, I was like, fuck, why does she play these tricks on me?
This is an amazing test. I hope that I don't even have to think of using it, that I, automatically trust in my own kids' ability to choose wisely. But no, this goes back to kind of like, the generational impact and, like you said, storytelling of like your mom's experience and how she wants to recreate, better opportunities for you, which is, every immigrant's dream, right?
100%.
And especially since she knew wealth and then they lost it all. And then she literally had to like build it again from the ground up, right? So that I think is really beautiful, in that what she wanted to give to you, you failed, but she gave it to you anyway, I assume.
Yeah, she was just like, but the thing is, I still have that condo right now.
Wow.
I still have that condo. And I use it as a rental income.
Is it paid off in full?
No, because it was paid off, and then I pulled everything out to do my last house.
See, and so this is literally how real estate kind of just gives you the leverage to just start building wealth, because you had a condo, it was paid off, you took that money out, you bought a different property, used that for the down payment, I presume, and then some of the construction, the renovation work, and you've raised the value of that house. I'm just going to take a wild guess, probably $500,000-$600,000, depending on the timing and how long you held on to it, and then you can literally start playing Monopoly from there.
Yeah, it's getting harder, because now it's just like, it's harder. I don't know, you can give me the advice. It's like when you sell now, you can't go up. If you go up, it's like a huge jump, because like $1 million house now, the house that I'm currently living in now, we bought it 7 years ago for around $600,000. We stood in front of the lawn with a paddle from the city of Toronto. It was infested with raccoons.
Oh my God.
It was one of those rooming homes.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's Leslieville, so that's the community. Yeah. And there were on the listing it says, please bring your own flashlight. And it was just like, I remember my
Enter
husband,
at your own risk.
Yeah, my husband's name is Adrian, and I'm like, there's something about the street, I just love it. And you can tell there were a couple of homes coming up, and he's like, no. He's like, I can't do this.
That sounds a lot like my husband. Yeah, like, sorry, what are we doing here?
Yeah, he's like, no, he's like, this is a lot. He's like, you won't even stay at a 3-star hotel. Like, this is not you. I was like, no, but this is, I can feel it. So I think I got that from my mom, like the feeling. Like, she bought her house right now by looking just at the listing. Yeah. And she's like, I love it. She's like, that's it. And then she was like, this is gonna be my final home. And she did. But with the condo going back, like, my kids are gonna have it. They are going to share it, they can sell it, I don't care. But that's gonna be part of their trust. Or if I lose everything on Chanel bags, if I lose all my money or whatever, then at least they have a piece of property.
Yeah. Well, on the low side, they've got a collection of Chanel bags, and on the high side,
good for their wives, right?
Real estate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's gonna become a family heirloom.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. So, but I enjoy the real estate. My mom definitely has like instilled that in me, where she's like, no matter what you do, always have like a backup. So you either play stocks or your real estate. If you don't understand finance, then you can't lose with a property. So and that's how she grew, because I grew up poor, new immigrant. We lived on Beverly in Kensington Market, Chinatown, and one huge room that's probably this size, 2 beds, my mom and my dad, and then we had like those accordion, like folding things, screens, and then I was on the other side, kitchen, bathroom, was all here, it's humbling.
So you came here to Canada at what age?
I came here, my dad came here first, with an illegal passport. He came through Japan and came here. I actually never asked him how he ended up getting his citizenship, but because I was just so young. So I came here, so my dad came here, he was settled here for a few years. Then my mom and I came here when I was 5. And we lived in I guess like a house, condo, whatever. But it was like one of those like triplexes, you know, like up in Chinatown, Augusta. No, it was Beverly. And the room was like this size, bedroom, 2 beds, kitchen, bathroom, everything was in one room. And I remember going to school and being on like the breakfast program, and then also have doing the sometimes the lunch program, and just like not being able to have the money to go on certain like trips or stuff like that. And I remember it didn't bother me. Like it didn't bother me like it would bother my parents. Like I saw that it bothered them. For me, I was just like, okay, I won't go. And the thing is, I didn't understand about the breakfast club because I always had breakfast in front of me when I got to school. So I was like, oh, they're so nice. Like other kids don't get it, but I'm so special, you know? So now when that happens at my older son's school, like so I volunteer. Right. And also with the kids' clothing, a portion of it a portion of our sales was going into the breakfast club.
That's so sweet. So you were directly paying it forward through the exact thing that you received.
Even though I didn't realize what I was getting, it was very important.
Yeah.
That I was able to sit with my friends.
But I can totally see now through, you know, your generational story, your mom, the wealth, losing it, you know, these things that she imparted onto you, and like your hustle and drive.
Thank you.
Know?
I think it just comes from the home, right? And I feel like you have the same. Like it comes from whether it's your parents, your grandparents, you know, and that's what I'm trying to do, what my mom did, like what you said, what my mom did for me, for my kids. It's hard because now everything is just so instant, it's fast. I don't know what I want to do because I feel like sometimes doing this influence and content creation, which is my main income stream now that I can use to do other things, is great. But sometimes I think, am I ruining my kids?
You're ruining your kids. Well, you're not ruining your kids, but you're also teaching them, you know, that it's important to have that flexibility, and that you're able to have that flexibility in large part because of real estate. Like literally, like when I'm hearing your story, I'm like, you guys are settled, you guys are in a home, you guys have, you know, financial stability because through your mom, you've weaved this, you know, real estate solid financial basis in, and that's so important. And I really encourage anyone, you know, whether you're 19, I mean, you were 16 when you got blessed with the test that you failed.
Yeah, I got blessed. No, definitely. I was very blessed. I guess not everyone is blessed that way, but there's different ways you can still do it.
That's the thing. And that's part of what I really, you know, aspire to communicate to everyone. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you've got bad credit. It doesn't matter if you don't have a huge down payment. There's so many different creative strategies that you can use to kind of really build that solid basis for yourself. And that's going to help you have these sort of like flexible career transition breaks, and you're like still good.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I'm able to do what I'm doing right now, live comfortably, is being smart in real estate, definitely. Yeah.
So thanks so much for coming on with your shiny black pants that are blinding me.
Thank you very much for having me. They're actually super warm and I'm sweating.
You're sweating.
I'm sweating. I'm like, at the back of my head, I'm like, how am I going to take these pants off when I get home?
You're going to peel them off and have a towel behind you to wipe it up. That's awesome. So thanks so much for watching another episode of the Build Up Podcast. You can catch us on iTunes, Spotify, everywhere that podcasts are available. And if you like what you've heard, share it, leave us a review, and we will catch you next time.